Today we are covering the emotional drivers behind eczema. Skin conditions, in general, have a common emotional driver, and that is an intense concern with regard to how they think other people see them. So really, it supports a core belief of not good enough, right? Today, we're going to be diving even deeper into a common skin condition called eczema. Welcome back to the Mind Change Podcast. I'm your host, Heather McKean. Please take a moment to like, subscribe, and download. It really helps us to continue to create all this great content for you and others, and lets us know if we're meeting the needs of our community. So over the last few years, I personally, in my work, have seen a major uptick in clients with this condition. And I know that if you watch TV, you see injections and creams and tons of stuff. It's clear that more and more people than ever before are struggling with eczema. And I can't help but think that our current social media culture is helping to trigger a lot of these situations when we understand what core belief and what emotional drivers are contributing to these conditions. We were not designed to live in a constant state of rejection fear. In fact, as humans, we thrive in environments where we have safe, healthy, and accepting relationships. Healing eczema involves healing our relationship with the way we see ourselves and the way that we feel that others see us. So one of the ways that this can manifest is by staying in a victim mindset. And we discuss that in the Mind Change book, and we also have a podcast episode specifically around the victim-victor mindset that we can link in the show notes. So here are some of the possible contributing drivers behind eczema. So you received the message as a child that you weren't okay being you. And again, we can often relate this back specifically to the mother. So oftentimes this also then, if we feel this at home, then this becomes a reality in the rest of our environments. So in school environments, we somehow are filtering and perceiving and getting the message that there's something wrong with us, that we're not okay being us. So oftentimes what the body does is that we attack ourselves before the anticipated external attack comes. Right? So the skin reacts. Remember, our skin is our outside barrier to the world. And the attack will come from ourselves. We will start beating ourselves up before that anticipated external attack comes. And part of the way that we're doing that, or reason that we're doing that, is because it's trying to keep us safe. We think if we look damaged on the outside, that people will see that and will give us an easier time, or will treat us a little bit better or a little bit more fragilely. But that's not the case usually in the world that we live in. In fact, so often, unfortunately, is these children, if we're talking about the how they responded as children, is that if there were things that they did or said, or there was some sort of condition on their skin, they would even get further bullied. So it would actually keep them in the victimized cycle and keep reinforcing that, oh my goodness, yes, there definitely is something wrong with me. So another thing here is when this is the adult manifestation of eczema, it's actually the body telling us that there's an old personality or an old coping mechanism that needs to be shed. Right? And it's usually the victim mentality. So the body's now doing the eczema to say, hey, you need to stop, let go of being a victim. Because people with eczema tend to hold on to past hurts or conflict. They expect that things are going to go wrong or be hard. And we often find that they have an identity even wrapped up in hardship, right? That success comes but by going through hard things, like somehow making it through hard things defines them. They sometimes have a childhood where they felt controlled, judged, or manipulated. Eczema sufferers can carry a great deal of repressed resentment, specifically toward the people that they love the most. They can often feel irritated, angry, or powerless in the relationships that they have. Eczema sufferers often repress intense emotions and thinking that people would leave you or abandon you if you had these big emotions. And so it helps you stay safe, quote unquote, in unhealthy family dynamics. Remember, the subconscious mind does not speak the same language or use the same rationale as the conscious mind. Consciously, we think that if we already have concerns about what people think about us, or we often feel like a victim, the last thing we need is an unsightly rash covering our body to bring even more attention to ourselves. But the body is doing this so that we will bring attention to the issues that are going on inside of us. The more obvious the body makes the problem, the more likely we should be to give it the attention that it needs. Unfortunately, we live in a world where coping mechanisms abound, and listening to our bodies is a lost art. The body isn't concerned how others see you. Its goal is for you to see you. Healing eczema is about healing our relationship with ourselves, and then with the beliefs and with the past. Healing the inside is going to inevitably change the outside. It's what's happening is the pain on the inside, the irritation on the inside, the stuff that we're holding on to is manifesting itself and showing itself on the outside through eczema. It's just asking us to give it the attention, to give it the love that we need. And when we do that, it so often actually resolves. Now, this one's important as a reminder. The emotional drivers in infants and children are often very different than adults. In this series, I'm only going to be covering adult emotional drivers. So please know that the stuff that we just talked about, if you do have an infant or a child suffering with eczema, that the drivers can sometimes overlap, but often they're very, very different when we're talking about infants and children. So thank you for joining us for this little talk here about eczema. Continue to come back and be with us every other week as we dive into the fascinating world of emotional drivers behind physical ailments, symptoms, or diseases. Please continue to leave those 5-star reviews to let us know if there's anything you would like for us to cover. Until next time, thank you for joining us on the Mind Change podcast, where we are changing the world one mind at a time.